Welcome to Triple F, bringing life to your faith, family, and finance.
Hey, welcome everyone to Triple F. We are excited that this Thursday is our Takeaway Thursday. We have had three amazing shows, and so we're excited to be able to start. But before we get into it, I want to share with you some of our mission statement here, what we want to accomplish with Triple F. Our mission is to equip people in the area of faith, family, and finance. It is our desire to add value to people's lives by helping them reinforce their faith, build a stronger relationship in their family, and help people elevate in their finances. As we all know, most of us could use that and through this pandemic. Yes, we are definitely excited. We had three amazing shows in the month of August, and we have the time. This is a new format that we're starting here to highlight all at one time versus doing it every other week. And so we're excited to be able to condense it and be able to bless you with the information. And so with that being said, let's jump in and kick off with faith. We had Kel and Keith Dickens all the way from Kentucky, and it was truly astounding. I mean, they had some challenges getting on, and I tell you, the devil couldn't win that day. We made it happen, and our team behind the scene, Virgil and Sherry, came through. The Deacons were able to pull into a hotel and be able to do the show live and direct, and it was so awesome. So let's dive into it and help that you could receive something from this, especially if you're listening live. If you have any questions or anything, any comments, go ahead and comment on our Facebook page so that we can get those to you or answer them through the takeaway. Then if you're listening to replay, you can always subscribe to DannyCouture.com, which is our website. Then also we have our Instagram and YouTube that you can get this on replay. Okay, so let's jump into the first takeaway here. It's kind of a three-part process. But the Deacons talked about how if we don't get out, right, and raise up other disciples, then we can become a lost nation in the process. And I think what they were sharing and saying is that us as Christian, if we just sit at home and wait for the world to understand the way on how to advance the kingdom forward, it's never going to happen. But it's not until one teaches the other, right? It's called discipleship. And so we got to get out and do the work so that we have more light. Darkness is not the problem in our city, in our state. It's just a lack of light. And how do we turn the light on? It's through discipleship. And part of that discipleship is not only just understanding, the right thing to do, or it's not just understanding that just being holy or just being in the spirit, but it's understanding how to understand the word, not only just understanding the word, but it's also understanding how to combat the devil's schemes, and then also how to recognize when it's not of Holy Spirit, but it's of a different spirit. And if we don't do this, it could hinder your work in the marketplace, right? And that you may be coming up against spiritual attack, but you don't know that. You're blind to it. And so, but how do we teach that to people? Because it's not, unless someone go to, Bible school or seminary school or things of that nature to learn, if that is the gifting that they desire. Just normal functional people don't understand because they don't take the time to understand. And so it is a responsibility and a duty for us to be able to teach in that way. Our second takeaway here that we're going to jump into is that they share is be careful of your association, right? Because you can be influenced in many different ways. And so what does that mean? It's like in the marketplace, there's a saying, we are the 5 people we hang out the most with. And I believe there can be some truth to that. But I believe we totally become the expectations of those 5 people, right? If those 5 people don't have no expectations from you, you don't become nothing. But if the 5 people is expecting you, right, and encouraging you, and holding you accountable and supporting you through the process, there's a level of expectations that we demand from the people that we are around, right? And so association is so huge. You hang around with the wrong people, you're gonna end up at the wrong place. And so we want to be with people that are heading in the right direction. We want to be with people that are making a difference while they're making a living. Find that, right? It's easy to conform nowadays. And especially if we don't know our true identity in the Lord, we will settle for whatever the culture or whatever society or the people that's around us may put upon us, right? And so be wise in how you pick the people that you are around, right? And so I'm excited for if you can't change the people around you, we need to change the people around you, right? That's I know there's kind of a weird saying, but if you want something different, you got to be willing to do something different. I once heard it being said like this: in the marketplace, we can't solve a problem with the same mindset we created the problem in, right? And so if you like in my men's group, the strong men that are ministering to one another, and it gives us a great association. Every Thursday morning I get together in this men's group, and it just, man, it pulls the greatness. There's an expectations there from the other men among me, and there's an expectation from me among them as well. And we give to one another. We empower one another so that we can go about being a better man, not only to our spouses, our kids, the people around us, then it overflows into our spheres of influence as well. All right, we'll go here to takeaway number 3. If we have, oh wow, this is a long one. Okay, let me read real quick. But I overcome that, and it helps because of God's word. And there is a sense of being almost like you're the only one sometimes when you're following God's word, but you're not. But there is the feeling that you are because other people don't share the same belief or the same passion of wanting to be different. But I am grateful that I'm surrounded by people that understood the word of God, so that I do agree that association is very important, but also too that I was in the word, because that's what makes a big difference. It's one thing to go to church, but it's another thing to be in the word, meaning you're reading it and you're understanding it. And I believe that was Carol, the wife of Keith, sharing this, Mrs. Dickens, about not just, church is not just about going to the building, right? It's not just about going and feeling the spirit, feeling the holiness, and growing in that. It's actually about how do we understand it, and then how do we apply it? How do we take it and we apply it in action in our actual life? One of the paradigms I used to have is that I only do church when I go to the building on Sunday. After the building on Sunday, I can sin from Monday to next Sunday. I mean, that's how I know. I know it's sad to say that, but that is the paradigm and how I understood it to be, right? And I believe what Miss Dickens is saying is it's one thing just to understand the words, but it's another thing to live the promising of the word over our life. Those words are promise of our Father over our lives, right? It's almost kind of like, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, and trust in the word and abide in the word, right? You will encounter this. You're going to experience this. But if you do the opposite, this is what you're going to experience as well. And so, you know, the word transformation is huge because understanding doesn't apply to transformation. Understanding is just awareness. But transform, it means that not only you are changed, but the people and the environment around you change, right? And so let me give it to you from a bigger perspective. If the church you go to is thriving, but the people around you are surviving, that's not what you call a church. It's not a transformational church. It's just a bunch of people coming together and worshiping, right? But when true transformation happens is that the people within the churches change, the environment around it, the neighborhood around the church is changed, and the city is changed because a group of people came together and have not only an understanding, but a transformation that changed, that they turned the darkness into light. As I alluded to earlier, darkness is not our problem, it's just a lack of light. I believe that's the takeaway for faith that we had with the Dickens. And so we're going to transition here and cover family. And this was an awesome takeaway from Mr. Hilger, Ben Hilger, who was our special guest. And, you know, Ben is new in his faith and his walk. And, you know, I wanted to highlight him because I wanted to showcase somebody who's going through the process. You know, most times when we highlight the end results, most people can't really see themselves in that. But when you highlight someone that's going through it and they can testify and share their experience, is quite empowering and uplifting for people who wants to jump in to this pool, right? Who doesn't want to develop oneness in their family? Who doesn't want to develop abundance in their family? And so here's our first takeaway from Ben is I say the family is so important because it's your heart, right? So he related to our heart. It's like the heartbeat. It's like the center of everything. It is a reflection, not just us, but of Jesus. It's kind of the anchor, right? Like the anchor to a boat. It's where you come from. Family is everything. It's our identity, it's legacy, and our responsibility. And, you know, I couldn't say anything more about that. I totally agree with what Ben has shared in this first takeaway here with us. And, you know, if you look around our society today, you don't have to look very far that there's so many family who suffering from intimacy, suffering from gaining their true identity in the Lord, or suffering from direction or confirmation in that way. And that's what we want to do as Triple F. We want to be able to just plant a seed, right? If we could plant a seed and allow that seed to and cultivate that seed based on this show from just regular people who are saying, look, we're not perfect, but we're willing to fail forward and live a life that's fulfilling, right? A life that is transformational, and we're willing to walk in that. And a repentance lifestyle is truly amazing. But guys, I think what Miss Ben was sharing in this share is that all of this wouldn't happen if he, as a father, didn't take the opportunity to do the work to understand what is a responsibility. For me as a father, I thought my responsibility was just to provide financially. Raising my kids was up to my wife. That's my wife's job, right? And that's not how the kingdom works. That's not um, how God's design was to be, right? Like that's not how He designed a family to be. And so we want to give you those practical ways on how to be able to show up, and then also kind of guide and point you in the right direction where you could get resources where we're gaining resources from to support you in your faith, in your family, and in your finances as well. So, with that being said, we'll go here to question number 2. Ben challenged us. He gave us an assignment. He said, call 5 people that have made a difference in your life and tell them that, hey, you had touched my heart, and when you did this, even if it was a long time ago. And that's when we become a beacon of hope or a light, we're able to give something to others, right? There's a saying in ministry, you can't give what you don't have, right? There's a saying in the marketplace, it's the same thing. You can't give what you don't have. And here with this community that we're building with Triple F, we're going to be able to give you substance of displaying people's lifestyle, displaying the everyday lifestyle of them developing themselves, not as a finished product, but as someone who's willing to get better over time in the process, right? And this, when you become that, you can give that to someone, right? Like you can be a light. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Like it loses nothing whatsoever, right? You just pass the light on to someone else in the process. And so, yes, excited for all of you to reach out. It also shows a sign of humility. And I really believe that you can't really change until your heart is healed and humbled, right? It's very hard for someone to be transformed if they're not healed from the wounds that have caused them throughout their lives, or can't properly uh, humble themselves, in a way that can elevate them. I believe the Bible said if you go low, God will bring you high. But if you go high, God will humble you to go low in that way. So excited for you, and we'll move here to takeaway number 3 this number 1 in finances. Okay, great. We are moving right along. And so that was the Dickens with faith, Ben Hilger with family, and Ben is growing a incredible family with his wife Leanne and their 2 kids. Well, I was going to say children, but they're kind of grown now. Grace and George, just totally awesome. And we had the Kellys. Oh my God, we have all agreed that was the best show. But we've been saying this every show. We've been saying it every show. Every show is like the best show. So the Kellys truly brought the house down and crushed it. And it's totally amazing to see God really move in their lives. Really seeing them being transformed, not only from a mindset, but from a heart set, but also transferring into tangible success is truly amazing. So let's jump into takeaway number 1. A lot of wealth that people can attain is right past the challenge that they experience, and they give up instead of continue to keep going. And because of that, that are created beyond the pain. One example is Joseph and his goat of many colors and his journey from the pit to the palace. He kept going despite the pain because he had a dream and a purpose, right? And man, this was so powerful. There's so many illustrations that you can take away, but there's so many people in our lack of faith, we give up too soon, right? And it's so funny because as I am growing, I nowhere claim to figure all this out. But as I am growing as a person, like man, I really got to see how much uh, I was operating from a spirit of fear, this versus a spirit of faith. And this is just recent, like I mean, just recent discovery, right? Like we automatically, my spirit will go to fear in certain things versus my faith, like to really faith. And I had to like reflect and replay a lot of things to see where my faith was at, right? Like to really see, because we give up on things because we no longer see or convict or be convicted, um, or become obsessed with that very thing, right? It's like it's no longer a vision or a definite of purpose anymore, right? And so we lose hope right away. Like there's no faith. I give up, right? And many people give up right before the success happened. And learning today how to endure, learning today how to control what I can control. Right, that is my mindset, my attitude on how I respond to things and not react to things. Right, and so I can control those things. What I can't control, what happens out there. And so I'm not gonna go too deep into how to to battle in the spiritual realm, but you know most people don't understand it is a spiritual battle when we encounter challenges, especially in the marketplace, right? And things of that nature. But man, the example that they used was Joseph, and so you can be so and not be needed, right? And not be noticed, not be recognized. But think about all the things that Joseph experienced and that he could have given up and just be a jailbird or just be an average person or just play small. But he went from the pit, right, to being a ruler, right? The second most powerful man next to the king. I mean, he was able to care for the very people that treated him bad, which was his own family, his own brothers. But again, we know the story. My point is that how do we get so down when one bad things happen to us, right? We beat up on ourselves. We oh, this is not for me. This instead of like being a Joseph, right? Okay, God, what do you want me to do in this time? That's the mindset and the heart set that we all want to understand and seek to understand, right? In the process, because now you're no longer relying on your own mind and your own heart. You're trusting God in trying times. You are still seeking Him for guidance because He's most times His delays are not His denial. He's just molding us so that we can be ready when He elevates us to a position that He sees us, not what we see, but what He sees in us. We step right into it as if we been working. I think one of things that really come to mind is Nelson Mandela in his interview after he was released from prison over 20 something plus years, right, of being incarcerated. And I believe the question was asked is, how do you feel to be free after 20 years? And I just remember the smile and the grin on Nelson's face because He could have. I don't know. I don't know. But it was a Joseph moment. His response was, they may have locked my body up in the prison, but my mind was always, and my heart was always free. And I was just like, whoa. I mean, I honestly tell you, I started tearing up, because that's not a response of someone of this world. That is a kingdom reply, big time. And so that was a massive takeaway. We'll go to the second takeaway, Sherry. Thank you. This is another long one, right? You got to plant, cultivate, and give it time to create, fruit, like an orchard, right? Like most of us, we want to plant the seeds today. We want to eat tomorrow. Like that's how the world we live in today, right? But if you're eating the seeds, and which what we do when our income or your outgo out far and outweigh your income, right? And that is where a lot of people find themselves. And what happens is now your business has pressure to perform as opposed to you allowing it and being able to grow and be nurtured just like you would with a newborn child organically. I mean, I really don't know what to say after that, man. This is we live in the world that the world changes our mind and our being. I can, gosh, attest to so many times where I have to catch myself because I was being pulled so far into the world and into worldly things, right? And so understanding not only how to plant the seeds, cultivate it, and then harvest, but when we harvest, we want to be able to take that money that we're harvesting and still invest it, right? Still be able to put overalls on that money so that money can reproduce the money that you need to buy the trash that you want. Well, I call it trash because it's, things that we need, but we really don't need, right? Like the cars, houses, we need them, but we really don't, I mean, depending on the type of car you want and the type of house and neighborhood you want to live in, right? And so that is a preference and a choice. Choice is a voluntary act on which that you prefer to experience. So all the Kellys are saying is stop eating your seeds. Stop working, getting your paycheck, and spending it. That's what he's saying, right? Or he and she are saying. Mr. and Mrs. Kelly are saying. Stop getting your paycheck and spending it. Get it and find something that you can invest into, whether it's small return or what it may be. But do that. If you do that, then now you still have your principal, creating you funding. Then now you can go. You still have your principal. Then you have cash, which comes from the investment that you made. Then you can go out and buy the things that you desire. But the challenge is when we make the money, we spend the money right away, right? And that's not a good business model to have. It's simply because most of us are not taught business or entrepreneurship or finances, right? We're taught to go to school, get you good grades, and get you a good job, not to become a millionaire, not to become financially free, not to be set apart, but to trade time for money, right? And so these are ways that there's so many programs that you can go and figure out how to invest and put overalls on your money so that you're working for the money, but now you have your money working for you, right? So now you got two income coming in with your time equity, sweat equity that you're putting in. Okay, we're moving right along here as we come to an end. Number 3, what you see is depend on where you sit. So if you're in the hole, oftentimes you're trying to see what's on the outside of the hole looks like, and where and like when you were in a pit, right? But for some people who have already made it to the palace and know how to get from where You are because they've been there. Typically, a lot of times, your mentor have gone through what you've gone through, and they've sustained it, and they've had a champion in their life who knew what they were looking for a champion for you, right? And so, um, you know, this is so powerful uh, takeaway because sometimes we as people, I can only speak for myself. I couldn't speak for anybody else, but we defend our own ignorance, right? And sometimes because we're blind to it, we don't want anybody else to tell us our own mistakes. And that's the part that goes back to humility, right? Do you see how this all links up from faith to family to finances? Yes, it's the same. It's the same thing, right? But where you sit, so what you have experienced gives you a different level of how you can see life from, right? And so, like what Mr. Kelly shared here, if you are in a hole, the only thing you envision is to get out of the hole. How does it look outside of the hole, right? So, if you are working this job or this business and it's not working out for you, all you want to do is you want to see what's working out there. Who's thriving out there and things of that nature, right? Here's the most amazing thing. There are people that already done what you want. What our prayers and searching and researching should be about is to try to find a mentor, somebody who's already done what you're looking to do, and seek wisdom from them, because that allows you to cut your learning curve down, and then buy you back time in that way. Look, you want to be able to leverage wisdom. You know what leverage wisdom look like? It saves like 3 years out of your life, right? You either can go stressed and work yourself to death in 3 years trying to figure it out, or you can go seek a mentor, right? I know you're probably saying, well, how do I find a mentor? When you're hungry enough, the mentor will show up, right? They are out there. And I tell you, if you are seeking, the Bible said, if you knock, the doors shall be open. And if you look, you shall find. And so if you put those things into action, there's somebody waiting for you. Look, when I first got into business, I was praying that God would guide me to someone. And it came in the form of introduction by this gentleman, and he introduced me to my mentor, Kevin Mack. And it changed my life, like literally changed my life, right? Kevin Mack allowed me to transform my life in almost a year and 8 months, almost 2 years. In my first year I was in business, I didn't know what I was doing. I made $3,000. My second year, I made a whopping $9,000. I almost quit my second year, but something inside of me is like, no, I can't give up. My third year, I eclipsed over $135,000, which is so many years ago. And I've never looked back. My point of sharing this with you is that I done it my way. My first year, it was 3,000. My second year, Kevin Mack, I really took him on as a mentor. And my third year, 135,000. Like, I used to make $22,000 a year as a school counselor. So you just do the math. How what a mentor did, in 2 years for me. It changed the game. The world that he has opened up for me outside of the company that we're with in Legal Shield is unreal. Being able to understand how to invest and do other things, invest in different companies and invest in cryptocurrencies or the stock market. I mean, it's unreal. This is stuff I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I didn't have the right association, right? Some of the things we talked about, and if I didn't await and abide in the Lord, right? I did a lot of things wrong, trust me, but I'm so happy for where I'm at today and happy for the direction of where we're going. I think that we got one more takeaway and we're done. Final takeaway: look at the treasure in you and cultivate instead of seeing the trash. By doing that, you could move things in the right direction. By doing that, you could move things in the right direction. Yeah, that's, today people are so focused on the trash. I mean, it's so easy to quit. Like, it's so easy for us to focus on fear, right? I kind of look at that as trash. It's so easy. It's well, why couldn't you do it? Oh, because I was afraid of this, right? I was afraid. That's trash. Like, you're focusing on the trash, and we so quick to see the trash in people, right? We point out the bad things that are happening right away, and but we don't see the treasure that we could cultivate in people. No one is the end result. Like, no one is born a millionaire unless it's generational, right? But someone saw something in all of us, and so if we can train our mind and our heart to see the treasure in people, right? That's something I'm working on, personally, not only as a father, husband, but also as a marketplace guy, right? Is to see the treasure in people, even when people make mistakes. Find the treasure. There's treasure in it, right? We're so easy to blast. Man, I want to give them a piece of my mind. It's like that's the world we live in today. But it's so hard to speak peace and blessings over someone. Hey, you did that wrong. But based on my experience, if you do it this way, you can actually create different results. Man, not only that you would be able to bless that person on the receiving end, but you directing and affirming them in the right direction that actually could allow them to feed their family and take care of their family, right? Or grow their business and double and triple their business, right? To go from $1 million to $1 billion, right? It's recognizing the treasure in people, right? We were so quick to blast people today, especially on social media, right? Like, we highlight a lot of things, and it's kind of like a highlight reel, and we want to outdo the other person's highlight in this. But man, when you can really stay grounded and know who you are and whose you are, you will see the treasure in people, and you're gonna attract people, because success is not to be pursued, but it's to be attracted by the person you become. A lot of people chase money, they never catch it, right? Become the person, and money will catch you. And now you'll be able to put overalls on it. Guys, it's been an amazing. I don't know if we have another takeaway. No, that is it. This has been an amazing Takeaway Thursday, a new format that we came up to cover all three. We got a whole show set up for you in the month of September and October, and it's going to be hot and popping just like the month of August. And so I want you to subscribe to our website at DannyCouture.com so that you can get our free ebook, right? It's a great study of growing in practical ways that we put together. Sherry and Virgil, who are the mastermind of Triple F, the brain behind the operation of Triple F, is giving you a free gift. All you got to do is subscribe to our website, submit your email. Also, join us on Facebook and Instagram as well, and plug into our YouTube channel so that you can get all the recording, guys, of our show. And so I'm excited for it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, take charge, and God bless. And we'll see you next week in the month of September. Aloha.